morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today I have got wonderful, wonderful news. The lovely folks over at the Pokémon Company have decided to give me an exclusive card to reveal from the upcoming Obsidian Flames expansion. Yay! Huge thank you to the Pokémon Company International for hooking me up with a spoiler. And as I record this, I'm pretty sure we've not had any official reveals from Obsidian Flames. Yeah, we've seen the pre-release promos, but I mean in terms of actual reveals, I don't think we've seen any. So I can tell you that actually, and there is some relevant information here, because I can tell you that the abbreviation is officially OBF. I was kind of hoping for OBS, which was never going to work, but it would have amused me. And there are 197 cards in the set, plus secret rares. What have they gone and given me? EXCUSIVE EX, Terra Shifted EXCUSIVE EX. That is, of course, the big hook from Obsidian Flames. The big hook of Obsidian Flames is we've got these type-shifted Terra EXs. You know, we can see on the booster packs that we are getting ourselves a Lightning-type Tyranitar. And we are getting ourselves a Darkness-type Charizard. Well, now we're getting ourselves a Fire-type EXCUSIVE. And straight off the bat, before we get into anything else, and believe me, I'm going to be talking about a bunch of other stuff here, it is really important to note that just the fact that it's a different type is great. Because one of the things to note about these type-shifted Terra EXs, and we were told this when the set was initially revealed, they have a new typing, they have a new weakness. EXCUSIVE here now is weak to water, which doesn't really make sense, but of course it is a fire Pokemon. But it still uses the same energy, which means we've now got a fire Pokemon hitting for fire weakness that uses water energy, and that's a pretty gosh darn big deal. When the folks at Pokemon asked me what kind of reveals I wanted to do if given a choice, I told them I like cards that could be competitive, cards that are interesting competitively, so I can make videos and talk about them. And this is the kind of stuff which I like. Of course, if we go back a ways, there was the Stunfisk that came around in Shining Legends, which is a fighting type, but uses lightning type energy, and this is good, because if I'm playing a deck that's using lightning energy, all of a sudden I can use this Stunfisk and hit for fighting weakness. This is just one example that I always remember. There are a bunch of others. There was actually a way better Stunfisk in Noble Victories that was a fighting type that attacked for lightning energy. The one from Noble Victories actually saw a decent amount of play. Like, it wasn't some kind of ridiculous powerhouse card or anything stupid like that, but it did see a little bit of play, and that was kind of cool. And here's the thing, right? With this EXCUSIVE, you're a fire Pokemon using water energy, and it is entirely water energy, no colorless energy at all. But you know what's really cool here? Baxcalibur is a thing. And the fact that we got Baxcalibur here is absolutely gigantic. Now, I know it's a stage 2, etc., but look, Chempower decks are doing well at the moment, they're seeing a bunch of play, so clearly the fact that it's a stage 2 doesn't make it completely unviable or anything like that. So, we've got a chance here. And the thing is, if we look at the wording for Baxcalibur, because this is very important, as often as you like during your turn, you may attach a basic water energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. It doesn't say it has to be a water Pokemon. Now, if you compare this with, say, Frostmoth from the Sword and Shield base set, that specifically had to be to a bench Pokemon, and it specifically had to be to a water Pokemon. Which, again, makes sense. Frostmoth was a stage 1 rather than a stage 2. Stage 2s are harder to get out, so the ability ends up being a little bit better because it's a stage 2. But this means we don't need to worry about where's EXCUSIVE going to fit or anything like that. EXCUSIVE is going to fit into Baxcalibur decks. If we want to use EXCUSIVE, we can just whack it into Baxcalibur decks. It is a single card, because it's a basic Pokemon. It's using the same energy you're already playing. You're accelerating energy in the same way you're already doing it. It is literally a single card out of your 60, and all of a sudden you're rolling. Do we want to use it? I honestly think yes. I think this is a really good attack. 3 water energy, 160 damage, and you discard an energy from this Pokemon. It's 1 energy. It's really not a big deal, especially in a deck where you're going to have so much energy acceleration. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't attack. Yeah, there are two reasons we want to use this. There are two niches this can fill. First of all, you've got the obvious. If you're hitting Fire Weakness, this is great. With Fire Weakness, it hits 320. The maximum HP we've currently seen from any Pokemon in the game, without anything to add up, of course, without anything to boost it, is 340. Well, in Scarlet and Violet, we saw a reprint of Vitality Band. So you whack a Vitality Band on here, and with Weakness, you're getting a one-hit KO on literally anything. And remember, Fire hits Weakness on Grass and Metal decks, so there are a lot of things. And it's going to be legal for 2-3 years, right? We know that there's going to be a whole bunch of cards revealed in that time. It'd be super weird if there weren't. So there's absolutely a strong possibility here that some good Grass or Metal deck, there's two entire typings to work with, becomes good at some point in the future. And all of a sudden, you're hitting a good Weakness here. And because of the damage you're doing, you're getting a one-hit KO on any of them. This is good. And honestly, that alone is reason to play it. Like, there is reason to play this just for going, you know what, I'm hitting 2 full typings for Weakness here. That sounds pretty good to me. But you also stop the defending Pokemon attacking. Now, this one is a lot more nuanced, and it's not quite so straightforward. Because it is the defending Pokemon can't attack. So all they need to do is switch. If they retreat to a new Pokemon, they can attack. If they switch to a new Pokemon, they can attack. What they can do is retreat and switch, or switch and retreat. And then the same Pokemon you hit into, because it's been to the bench and come back active, is now essentially thought of as a new Pokemon and can attack. But there are going to be times you don't think your opponent can. If it's a high HP Pokemon, if it's late in the game, if they are low on energy because they've used a bunch during the game. I mean, honestly here, this would be brilliant in a situation where it's late in the game, your opponent has expended a bunch of resources, you could play some kind of card to put them down to a low hand size, and then attack with this and basically go, you've used a bunch of resources, you've got a very low number of cards in your hand, I don't think you can get to the bench and bring another attacker out. Either you don't have an attacker on the bench, and I also don't think you can get to the bench and back in the active, and I think this is going to cost you an attack, and that's where Iono comes in. Because Iono puts both players down to a number of cards in hand equal to their remaining prizes. So if your opponent's got one prize remaining, play Iono, put them down to a one-card hand. If they don't have an attacker on the bench and you use Ice Cube, they have to either build up an attacker and retreat/switch, or they have to get to the bench and then back into the active. And maybe they can. And if they do, you shake the hand, you probably lose the game. But my point is, Ice Cube here isn't just an now I get to attack for more weaknesses Pokemon, although it is. It is also an option for in the late game where you think you can take your opponent's attack away for a turn, where you can hit them, and then they're not going to be able to attack, and they can't switch to the bench and get active, and they don't have another Pokemon built up on the bench ready to attack, and you attack with Ice Cube and your opponent goes, I'm stuck here, I'm going to have to just pass and not attack you. And that's why I love Ice Cube. I should actually mention as well, I always forget this with Terra Pokemon, but of course this is a Terra Pokemon, so you do have the rule, as long as this Pokemon is on your bench, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks, yours and your opponent's. And there's a reason Manaphy sees so much play at the moment, because it protects you from your opponent's attacks. This protects you from your opponent's and your own self-damaging attacks, which is kind of awesome. And of course, don't forget that Radiant Greninja is still everywhere. So having an answer to that, yeah. Like, this isn't the reason people play these Terra Pokemon, but as a handy little bonus, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, this is kind of awesome. There are many, many, many reasons I think this is legitimately a good card, and I am delighted that this is the one that's been chosen for me to reveal. There's so much going in its favour. It is a Pokemon that attacks for water energy but isn't a water type, so you're hitting a new weakness. You've got Baxcalibur sitting there naturally as a way to accelerate the energy, and you've got that option to potentially stall them for a turn. And remember, if you're one-hit KOing basically anything with weakness, then you're two-hit KOing basically anything without. And of course, if you're stopping them attacking in the meantime, it's not quite a one-hit KO, but it might as well be. You hit them for 160, they don't attack, you hit them again. As I've said super clearly, there are ways around this. If it's turn 2 and your opponent's starting to build up their field and they've got 6 cards in hand, and you speculatively use this, it's not going to work. They're going to have an option. But there are times in the game where they don't have an attacker on the bench, and especially if you combine this with Iono, and they've either got to build up a brand new attacker or get to the bench and back to the active, where this could work. I'm giving this 4 wussies. If I'm playing a Baxcalibur deck at any point in the near future, I'm putting this in. I am legit playing this in every Baxcalibur deck I play, and yes, obviously I'm a little bit biased because I got the reveal, but I genuinely think this is a legit brilliant tech. And if it was a stage 1 or a stage 2, I wouldn't like it as much. If we didn't have a way to accelerate the water energy, I wouldn't like it as much. But I do, because all of that stuff we do have. And that's why I get so gosh darned excited. Also, gotta point out, somebody over who's designing these cards really likes this Ice Cube. Just Ice Cube as a Pokemon. Because we got IceCube, and IceCube was not exactly that natural a pick. It was one of the best Gen 7 Pokemon in my opinion, but it wasn't exactly one we all thought definitely was going to get a V. So we got IceCube, and then I got a shiny Pokemon in Shining Fates, and we just got the alternate art, the brilliant illustration rare in Paldea Evolved. Somebody out there likes IceCube. I like IceCube, ladies and gentlemen. I think IceCube's cool, and I specifically like this IceCube. But I want to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kind of fun things. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.